Geez, guys, I am so sorry. I forgot to hit go live, or it didn't hit it. Okay. How long have we been going? Nearly half an hour. I thought I hit the live button. Apologies, everyone. I've been talking for half an hour and I thought we were live. I hit start stream, but then I had to hit start stream on YouTube as well. Okay, now I know what's going on. Hello, everyone. This is ridiculous. Full apologies. This is the worst screw up I've ever made, where I think I'm live, but I'm not. Thanks, Karu. See, there's a friend. I'm thinking, imagine I went for an hour and a half and I went to end the stream and I just see the stream's not on. That was embarrassing. Okay, let me get all my energy back. I said some pretty cool stuff, I think, and now it's all out the window. I talk to myself. All right, hello to the regulars. Let's start this again. I'm thinking, usually I get people asking me some questions in the live stream at the beginning. All right, hi David P, Boffin, Kung Fu Joe, Luke. Hi everyone. I'm really sorry that I screwed up technically. This is what happens when we go live. All right, let's not belabor the point. Let's get back into it. Welcome to the Sunday stream, everyone. If you are here live and you would like to ask me a question, add 3 smiley face emojis like this before your question, or super chat me and I'll do my best to answer any sensible, mature, civil comments. Now, while you guys think about your questions that you want to ask me and be part of this live stream, let me get right into it because I was a little late. So this topic today is about why we don't, when we don't speak up in relationships and the consequences of that. And I would find with myself, and I found it replicated with many guys online, is that their biggest regret is what they didn't say in past relationships. They didn't say something to break up earlier. They didn't say something to get with the girl. They waited too long. The opportunity passed. They put their foot in their mouth. They didn't say the right thing. They tried to be polite, stumbled through their words, lied not to be rude, didn't say exactly what they felt, and then they were caught out in the lie because they were trying to be... Whatever it is, when you don't speak up clearly and say the words you want to say because they're the words that you mean and that's who you are, that's where people regret. So the biggest problem for me for not speaking up honestly and clearly to approaching girls, the dating experience, and while you're with someone in a relationship is you will regret being fake. Because if you don't speak up and be honest, you will, and there's nothing you can do about regret because you can't go back in time. It is a very impotent feeling. Save going back and calling an ex up and trying to mend things. Going back in time rarely fixes things. And there's a lot of sour, bitter water under the bridge of non-communication and fakeness. All right. Let's see. Okay. All right. Yes. Just the guy says, yeah, humans late. Pretty much the point of the video. All right. Human runs on human time. Oh no, not the live button. Yeah. Yep. And we are live. Look, Andrew, there was a way that I could automate going live through OBS, which I stream through. So I stream through OBS, which is this software that pops up all of these like little live chat sayings and my screens and makes it all look the way it is with the colors and everything and the voice and the volume, everything that makes it what it is. It's not just the camera, it's all of this that makes it interactive, right? Which gives a lot of really good context and information and makes the live streams much more than just the plain camera being switched on. And I used to automate it through OBS. Whenever I hit go live, it was already automated to log into YouTube and everything, but there was such a delay through going through that daisy chain to get to going live that there would be lag and stuttering and delays. And so the only way that my stream can go live smoothly is to go live on OBS and then go to YouTube and then go live there. So it's basically an A to B. And so the quality of the channel is such that I need to stream on OBS and then go live on YouTube. And I forgot to hit the live button. I thought I did. It can't be my imagination, but I think it was me assuming that I hit live, but I didn't. So anyway, yes, let me just say also that I want to put a caveat down with people that are in a situation that they can't get out of. You're in a terrible relationship that you were naive enough to get into, and now your eyes are open and it's too late, and you're going to the consequences of being open, speaking up and getting out because it's the right thing to do. The consequences actually might be worse in your life. And I sympathize with those people. So in that case, I would say, look, it's not easy, and it's not just about doing the right thing. I'm not stupid and irrational enough not to consider people who are in that situation. So I get those people. When I talk in my videos, it's about the middle of us where we're only stopped by fear itself, and we really could have better lives, speak up, end relationships, go up and talk to people, have the uncomfortable conversation that would allow us to have better lives with or without those people going forward. How many conversations with friends or lovers or people where there's always friction, and if you only would have that honest conversation, it would be like, we should have had this conversation earlier. Or if you don't get fit or do what you are supposed to do in your own habits in your life, you keep saying the cliche, I should have done this earlier in my own life. So all of these things we should do, fear is stopping us from doing it. Fear is stopping us from getting better at things that we're not already good at. I said before, and the stream wasn't on, so I'll say it again because it's important. I wasn't good on streams. Apparently, I'm still not. I'm still not hitting the live button. But speaking on streams, I've gotten better over the years because if you look at my first stream, out of all of these, what are we up to? Stream number 214 now, this one. The very first one, I was a jittering bunch of ums and ahs and long pauses and a 2.5 to 3 hour live stream that could have been summed up in 20 minutes, and it was very awkward, I think, compared to now. And I wanted to do live streams because I wanted to get better at something that I wasn't good at. I wanted to get better at speaking in real time. Also, there were little things in life where you can be better at things you're not naturally good at. And the people that dismiss that and saying, well, you're just born with that or you're naturally good at it. No, I'm not. I'm not naturally good at drawing, for instance. The cover of the latest video I dropped this week about how your childhood affects how you act with people and relationships in real life. I was not naturally good at drawing. I just really enjoy drawing, and I've never stopped since I was young. And I've practiced all the time, and I've always become better and better at it. So any skill, almost anything in life is a skill. There are some limits to you, your biology, your upbringing, your environment, things like that. I know a 5'0" person isn't going to get into the NBA today. I get it, okay? But again, we're not talking about extremes. So any of these people that say, yeah, but human, this, it's like, okay, extreme example, I get it. You're right there. But the 80 to 90% where we reside in the bell curve, the normal part of life where we can speak up and we're just fearful of the same kind of things and we've got to get better at the same kind of fumbling around as human beings. That's where we can improve. And there's too many excuses with all of us, including me, in the past. And that's what I want to have a conversation about. All right. Zayman, thank you for the super chat. He says, some of us will give up the shirts from our backs. I watched my father do this and I did the same. Some of us guys don't have any boundaries. Yeah. Some of us aren't given lessons about how to be a man, especially in relation to women, aside from be nice and women will treat you nice. If you were raised by a father who was very nice, like my one was, but he didn't really teach me anything about how to be with women, how to stand up for yourself with women and relationships and things like that. He gave me very short, sharp lessons and, I loved him, but he didn't give me certain lessons. I had to find them myself. And if you're not given those lessons, if you're not mentored, it's very hard. You have to fumble around and take the wrong advice. For instance, too many people out there give you the common advice that relationships are hard. Women will tell you relationships are hard. Family members will tell you relationships are hard. You just need to find the right girl. But a man who's really thought about things, if you have a father who's thought about things, who's contemplated, who's self-reflected, who knows who he is and who's tried and failed and really knows what the right thing is and what the wrong thing is, and he wants to impart that to someone he cares about, like his son or his nephew, he will tell you, careful of this, careful of that, know what you want, blah, blah, blah. The kind of conversations I'm trying to have with you, if you haven't had these conversations by an elder when you were growing up, you were just going to take the advice of society, which is relationships are hard, men and women are different, cross your fingers, it'll last as long as it does until they get unhappy, leave you, and they're going to ruin your life forever. And if you're a rational person that sees other couples who communicate, and you see, no, this is a skill. They are doing this correctly. They are in real time respecting each other. They talk to each other. This isn't accidental. It's not, oops, we just talk to each other all the time. We resolve things. We do all the right things magically. No, they talk all the time. That's a big, big, big point, big foundation of everything else working smoothly. But if you don't talk, you don't communicate, you don't care what compatibility looks like to you, you don't care who you are, you don't care what you want, you don't care what your week looks like that makes you happy and grounded as a person, and you don't care that matches somebody else. You believe that it's all just luck and you can magically be happy for a short time with someone who's completely different, who drains you, who is very unsatisfied, who needs a lot of variety in their life, but you don't. Like, come on. The logical amongst you should know how ridiculous that is. Relationships, the older I've gotten, the only things that work is skill. The skill of you knowing what you want and the discipline of you acting upon those things. And it first starts with you disciplining yourself, getting fit and doing the hard things that you need to do for yourself, your routines and all that. Then speaking better. Where are you deficient? You don't speak better. You don't listen as well. Just practice getting better at those things. All right. Okay, let's look at any questions in the live stream. Yes, guys, if you would like to ask me a question, why is my autofocus going in and out? Either super chat me or put 3 smiley faces before, not after, before your question or comment that you would like me to answer or respond to during this live stream. Please put 3 smiley faces before your comment during the live stream if you would like it read out or seen. So, let me give you some other thoughts I have on this topic about when you don't speak up in a relationship and the consequences of not doing so, right? As I've mentioned briefly, and I fully describe in the latest video I dropped this week of how your childhood affects you, your automatic responses and your automatic fears and the things that stop you in just normal human interactions and conversations and normal free chit-chat that you seem to freeze up like a deer in headlights, but other people don't. Those things you really need to look at in childhood. Watch this video. This may help you uncover some of the blind spots, because you think, childhood, what do I look back there for answers now? Like, I'm not interested in playing with, toy cars and building tree forts and all of that kind of stuff. What am I going to learn there? You will learn from how you were brought up, what you saw between your mother and father, whether you had one, whether you were adopted, how you were encouraged or how you weren't encouraged, when you were told to shut up and just follow orders, if you were allowed to express yourself freely, how you were told to express yourself, whether you had to figure a lot of things out like I did. I went into my room to figure a lot of things out on paper, reading books and things like that, and writing things down in my journal, and then with my friends a little bit, but not as deeply as I did on my own on paper. So really look at your childhood, how you were formed, and then how then you went about having relationships. I thought all women would be like my mother and sister, caring, reciprocal, fair, and I just need to find another woman that I liked, and she would be a version of a decent, nice, fair person. And I went in there with these assumptions, and they were all very, very different, because I was raised differently, different biology, different DNA, different cultures, you name it. And I naively thought, well, yeah, they're going to be a bit different, just like my friends are a little bit different, but I get along with them. They're decent, nice people, and they know the way to relate to people. And it's like, no, they don't. No, they don't. Okay. Let's see. Mario left a comment. He says, nice guy syndrome makes people hide and shut up difficult conversations in order to avoid conflict. It's just a vicious circle. Yes. And your childhood may have taught you to don't speak up. When you're in this environment, be quiet. When you're at church, don't utter a word. When you're here, stand up straight. When adults speak, don't speak. Here, you can be yourself, but again, don't say or do anything that will embarrass us. So you're very compartmentalized, and the easiest thing to do when you're a child is just to follow orders, just to have peace, just so you don't get mummy and daddy, which in your eyes look like God, because you need them to survive, that you need to go back home, back to their home, which is food and shelter and a warm bed. You just learn to say, yes, mum, yes, dad. And then later on, when you start dating, you learn to say, yes, dear, just like you said, yes, mum, or yes, dad. You follow orders to stay in a relationship. So a lot of those things are very important to uncover. Why your automatic responses are the way they are, why you love the way you love now in adult life, and why automatically you can't just be yourself, why you keep screwing up, just trying to be yourself. But yourself has been solidified in terms of relational love with someone and being in an intimate relationship by your parents. They gave you the unconscious rule book and the steps to follow, and when to shut your mouth and when not to. And so it's very hard to unwire that stuff. It's very hard to throw away that rule book and start writing a new one that you should be expressing now. But when we're on autopilot, we care about someone, we like this person, and we just run on old patterns. We don't think, we feel when we're in front of someone we like, just like we've learned how we should feel in front of our parents. Does that make sense? It's very, very important to look back to your childhood to explain a lot of the dysfunction and problems you have with relating in relationships and your love life. Not to, as an excuse, not to kick yourself, but just to go, okay, that makes sense. That's why until I see where it comes from, then I can't throw away something that I can't grab, If it's there, I can't fumble around and I don't even know what it is. But when I know what it is, then I can say, yeah, I can do my best to keep throwing it away every time I'm in that situation until it automatically isn't there anymore because I've thrown it away enough because I know it's there. I hope that makes sense. Kung Fu Joe says, you are framing it all wrong. Relationships are compromise. What you are saying, not being yourself, is too much compromise. No, I disagree. Also, I think you should frame your sentences a bit better, Kung Fu Joe. When you say in the comments to someone, no, you're wrong, this is incorrect, you're incorrect, rather than saying, I think you're incorrect, it sets a bad precedence. You're already losing the argument because you think you're right and everything I'm saying is wrong. So relationships are compromise. You're saying what you are saying. No. What you are saying is what you are saying. Not being yourself is too much compromise. You're not even. Your grammar's incorrect too. Add a comma. Add a o after to. And the smiley faces before your comments suggest that you're being snide. So anyway, any other comments? Yes, as Boffin says, Christina, add 3 circles or smiley faces so I can see your question. I read Xayman's super chat. Yes. Let me go back. No, there's no more comments. So yeah, if you would like to ask me a comment during the stream, as Boffin has just given an example, put 3 smiley face circles in front of your comment, then I'll see it. This is an interesting one. Karu asked someone, how much time do you invest in someone before you accurately say that they don't fit your standards? This is interesting because if you don't speak up or you find it very hard to get the words out and to let out who you are, it might take you longer to fully let out the words and feel comfortable that you're really like letting it all out. Some people automatically want to do it like me. So I shouldn't need very long before I discover, no, this person's not for me. And they've seen enough of me that they should know I'm not for them as well. But if you take longer, then you may need to spend longer with someone. But also don't use it as an excuse to say, well, I wasted 2 years with this chick, was like, before I realized this. That's far too long. And it's either your problem or both of you that you're not being honest and communicating directly, I would say. But back to this, why I don't, because until you guys start giving questions, I'll give you my thoughts, right? Why, when you don't speak up in a relationship, the consequences are so dire. It's because you can't go back in time to re-speak the words and really be the person that you should have been then now, because now you're much better at speaking up. Now you're more confident. Now you've got more courage. Now you're less fearful. Now you've cut away a lot of the strings of your childhood, and you know you've unwired some of that stuff. If you don't speak up at the start, if you lie, you put on a mask, you put on the pickup artist routines to get the woman, and then afterwards, like, how do you keep them? How you keep a person is just you continue being yourself. If you haven't been yourself, if you curated responses and you curated ways of speaking, then when you run out of material in your fake conversation, your fake one-liners, your fake impressing her with this and that and information and whatever, when you run out of material, just like a comedian will run out of material on stage, you have to just be yourself then. So if it's manufactured, very curated material, you're left with just you. And then when the person sees that the real you is so much less than who you were presenting in a polished way, or in fact, not actually you at all, they have every right to say, I'm not in love with you. I don't like it anymore. I might actually talk about that because that was a question on our channel, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. I might answer it on our stream. Okay. Yeah. Stephanie reminded me of a question someone asked on our stream about how I maintain my health routines and fitness and all of that. But rather than asking here, I think I'll answer him there because that's where he asked it, and he might be an audience there and not here. So you guys didn't ask it, they asked it, so I'll answer him there. But if anyone else here is interested, let me know. I'll answer any sensible questions. So if you don't speak up off the bat, it's hard later to change how the relationship is set. if you fake it, you don't speak up, and you speak fake impressive words to pick up a chick, and then later on you want to relax and use your real words, who you really are, when the suit and tie and the impressive you comes off, then they've got every reason not to feel attracted to that person, because that's not the person that the concrete set. So that's why I encourage people to be themselves, learn to articulate themselves right from the start, be polite, curious, fun, inquisitive, talkative, and talk about everything that's important to you. Nothing's off the table. Don't listen to what everyone says and say, don't talk about politics, don't talk about exes, don't talk about this. Whatever you want to talk about it. If you're a nervous spurg that just needs to know this stuff, let her know. She might be another nervous spurg just like you. Who cares? You're much better fumbling around being yourself than manufacturing a polished version of what some guru with millions of followers is telling you in their motivational stoic way of how to be a high value man or a woman. I think all that stuff is bullshit. Being the best version of who you are, I can agree with, but the important thing in that sentence is you. People gloss over that. People just read, how can I be the best version of someone that someone will love or someone will accept? I think there's another super chat by Examan. He says, never too late to rewrite your rule book. Yes, I find it awesome, like maybe because I like writing and thinking and having conversations like this. It's never uncovering life and refining your ethics and what true means to you compared to objective ontological truth out there. It's awesome. It's part of the things you reveal in life that make life worth living and helps give you clarity and makes you know something better than what you did yesterday. So, yeah, he continues, I'm 50 years old now and only just started to have boundaries with relationships, friends, and work. Good for you. You know, look, I only found my person, Stephanie, when I turned 50. I think I was 49, just almost 50 when I met her. And there's a little bit of luck in coming across this person. But like you, Zeman, I think the person that has the courage to be honest instead of stoically perfect and add smile LOLs before their comment and act so assured like they have all the answers, yet they live alone, they can't sleep at night, they only have conversations that make them feel alive with 3 people in the Discord chat, and that's it. And they don't have any other friends. They don't relate to other people outside their work. They can't see things from different points of view. You know, they only see things from their dogma, from their sect. No wonder you're weird when you go on a date. The chances of you accidentally, think about this, hard enough, men and women are different, right? Hard enough for you to come across somebody and you start talking to them on a date. They're already born different biologically to you. Then mentally they're different. Friendship-wise and what your values are, then coming across a woman who's already biologically different that also integrates with you as a compatible personality in terms of values, that's already difficult. But if you also make it impossible to find someone because you belong to a little dogma sect in a little pocket of the internet that talks about your own little manifesto that no one's read, and you use words like hypergamy and Briefold's law that no one knows what you're talking about. You think it's clever, but they just go, what? You just short-circuited the conversation. You think you're clever, but you just rebooted the computer. You just blue-screened our conversation, and now we need to reboot. And it was going so well until you said Briefold's law, until you said hypergamy, until you said, I don't know, whatever the other buzzword is that I try not to use very often when I'm having conversations with you guys, other than to refer to them intentionally or mock them or whatever. Be yourself. As David P says, be yourself from the start, warts and all. If the other person gets upset, take it for what it is, a sign of incompatibility. The more I read David P's words, the more I see so many similarities between him and other guys that are in the subs that generally I really like their conversations. I can really relate to them. David P, if I'm not mistaken, was in a really long-term relationship before where he felt like he couldn't speak, he felt alone, and the other person was very demanding and domineering or whatever. I'm just paraphrasing. I think I'll read one of your comments soon, David P. But when you've been in solitary confinement for a long time, mostly because of your own fault, you put yourself there, you walked into that cell, and you allowed Chicky Poo to lock you into that velvet prison and hold the key. When you finally break out and you realize you were the only one that was keeping you there via lack of conversation, via lack of saying no, as Quaz says, no is the most powerful form of communication that lets you know the other person sees you for who you really are. Until you learn that, there's no going back. By the way David speaks in his comments, there's no going back to David. I doubt whether he's ever going to go back to anyone that even mildly resembles what his ex was like. And I also asked some of us, the worst relationships we had, how much of them had aspects that were similar to your mother or sister or siblings or father or somebody that you had a really hard time with that was a primary caregiver and instructed you, with an iron fist to act in a certain way when you were younger. All right. Karu says, how can you be sure that the way you speak up comes from a virtuous place and isn't a reaction to post-trauma or showboating? Truly knowing thyself is hard and a never-ending process. I agree with that. It's not easy and it's never-ending. For me, it's like training. It's exercise. It's like your physical exercise. It's not a one and done. It's maintenance. Just like good conversations with friends keeps and reading good books and informing yourself with better quality movies and better quality documentaries, better quality nonfiction books and things like that. So that stuff is maintenance. And what you said about knowing whether speaking up comes from a virtuous place or not, whether it's not a reaction from post-trauma or showboating, unless you actually decide to look there, I don't think you can really know. You can be confident from showboating as masking past trauma or masking things you don't want to look at or masking not being too weak or feminine, but really you're punished for asking questions or showing any kind of, I hate to use the word vulnerability, but openness, right? You were punished for being open or honest when you were young, so therefore you shut your mouth and you're stoic. You might have had a father that didn't allow you to ask questions, but just follow orders like a guy's supposed to. Tough it out. If it hurts, suck it up, say nothing. It doesn't mean you need to cry, but it does mean that you may be told to. But unless you actually make the decision or you're curious enough to go, what's the harm? Let me look at this. And if there's nothing there, there's nothing there. But at least you look at it, and then you could cross it off the list and try and find where your problem areas lie. But I don't think you can do very much to people that are arrogant to get them to drop their arrogance. Take a look at a lot of feminists. How do you get them to be nice now? You've given them the keys to the castle. They run a lot of the show in media and stuff. How do you get them to say, be reasonable? Like, stop wielding your power from that podium. Why? We've got superiority. We feel safer from this level above you. We talk down to you. We're in control. What's the benefit for us being nice? Why? Where the women themselves, they talk down to women who try and be nice. A woman who tries to be nice to men or just wants to be a housewife or wants to be a decent a woman, they get shamed by other women. So there's a lot. So it's very hard for you to even be nice to yourself and say, stop holding on so tight. It's not childish. Investigate this. I would say try and cultivate a mindset of curiosity instead of certainty. Even if you're certain about things, like I'm certain about a various amount of things, but it does not mean that I'm right all the time. But I do like the fact that I'm certain because it allows me to know where I stand and be prouder of myself because I try. Because without having some sense of certainty, I won't have courage to take small risks. If I'm never certain about anything, I will always sit back and not even touch curiosity, because that leads to trying something and that leads to failing. So I think one thing everyone can do is cultivate a mindset of curiosity. And whenever they feel that old pattern of childhood fear of, oh, what if, oh, it might not work, there's no guarantee, I won't even try, I won't even look there, I won't go back to childhood. Whatever anyone says, I talked about this with Karu and also with Quaz. There are certain words that make me push back, like overly spiritual words, like, I don't know, you name it. There's a lot of spiritual buzzwords, like very Oprah words that when you hear them, you go, ugh. I know what it means, but I hate when I hear it. Replace those words with something that works for you that leads to the same thing. So if you cringe when I say the word love, replace it with something comparable, like a meaningful relationship or commitment or, you know, an exclusive relationship or something like that, you know? Whatever leads you to the place to be curious enough to look at that where you could fix parts of yourself where you have problems is what I would suggest. I hope that answers what you were asking, Karu. Maybe we need more of a conversation. Mickey Mishra, thank you for the super chat. Humans are so hot, man. You have a kick-ass Saturday. Ah, thanks, Mickey. Thanks for the super chat. Humans are so hot, man. Have a kick-ass Sunday. There's a positive mindset. Thanks, dude. All right. Remember, add your super chats or any questions to me with 3 smiley faces like the example below my chin here, and I'll do my best to answer them. Right. Okay. All right. So, and the reason I wanted to mention today about speaking up, why you should speak up about just being honest. I'm not saying speak up and be rude. If rudeness is called for, those of you who like my work know that there's nothing wrong with self-defense and being rude when it's called for, when someone's acting like a child and being juvenile. But why it's important to speak up honestly before getting to know someone, while getting to know someone, and be consistent with that and build on that. It builds trust. You can get to actual trust if you're honest and speak openly and you're just yourself from the start. Then you can get to honest trust, not a betrayal where they think you were someone else because you were trying to be polite and game them in a pickup artist kind of way. And then later on, your honesty changes from the honesty you showed them at the start. That is betrayal in the eyes of someone where you're acting. Then you can actually get to more trust. The person's more consistent. You can bond to them better. You can trust them more. And everything is just consistent and there's no contradiction. But if you're not that way from the start, if you don't speak up right from the start, if you're not honest from the start, if you can't articulate yourself from the start, then you run into all sorts of problems, because by the time the honeymoon period is over in the first couple of weeks or months in a relationship, however long it takes you, then the concrete around your relationship has set. And if you break out of it, it's not flexible anymore. It's like the other person isn't with the person they set with. You wouldn't like it being done to you. And all the excuses that I hear the manosphere say, yeah, but what about this? But what about female nature? I don't care. Personal conversation, open and honest, direct conversation without the game playing and all the laws and all the stats and stuff, they don't matter. They matter in you just being aware of pitfalls, But if you can make the most sensible decisions of who you're going to go on a date with, who you're going to talk to, who you're going to decide to commit to, if you do want to commit to anyone, the personal stuff, this stuff that I'm talking about, is almost all that matters in success or failure. Is all that matters in someone seeing you for who you are and you seeing them for who they are. That's it. It's not complicated. Myself as well, I fell into the trap of being so intellectually clever about all of this stuff, and it could not work in a fun, natural way on a date. You come off as weird, or you have nothing to say, or you run out of well-rehearsed things to say. Just the guy said, Mike played you a compliment. Did he? Humans are so hot, man. So are you just being platonically complimentary, or Mickey, are you that way inclined? I'm not sure. But either way, good for you. You have a good attitude. I'm not making fun of Mickey. I'm not that good with interpreting the feelings sometimes of text. Even like you're probably right, just a guy. But I'm really bad at interpreting text exactly the way the person said it, unless they put an emoji after the sentences. They mean it in a certain way. Even Boffin, I think a week or two ago, when I talked to him, he left a message and he had to just reconfirm where he was coming from. And when I speak to someone, then I know. But just via text, me and a lot of people run into problems in misinterpreting things. So apologies. So I learned I can't change anyone except myself. Yeah. I think it was Jocko Willink that said it about extreme ownership. Again, be reasonable. You know, if it's not your fault, it's not your fault. If someone betrayed you, they betrayed you. If there's no reason for them acting a certain way, you can blame them, you can point the finger at them. But most relationships, 9 out of 10, you had some part in it. And the more you can actually, by default, say, okay, by default, where did I go wrong? Like, take the stance, like, let's see where I'm responsible. I'm responsible for everything. I want as much control in my life as possible. That's actually a great position to take. That's a great posture to take. You're not a walkover. You're not a doormat where everything's okay, everything's your fault. Like, where they say if you argue with your partner, you should just apologize even if they're wrong. No. Some people think you should do that. I personally don't. I think if it's harmless, if it could be interpreted, if you weren't clear enough and it could be interpreted that you could have come off as rude or awkward and then they react that way, yeah, okay, oh, sorry, you felt like maybe I came off a certain way, I apologize. But if you're clear and it's absolutely 100% their fault, I'm not apologizing for someone else's mistakes or feelings or something. No, if I was as polite and clear as possible and I wasn't rude, but it was just something that made them feel a certain way, come on, I can't just apologize no matter what. That's not a really good precedence to send, guys, that you apologize when you argue with your woman and you always call up and say sorry no matter what. That's the way to be a man. That just teaches her, no matter how she acts, that she can always screw up and be rude and cheat on you and do whatever the hell. And then you're always going to say, it's okay, dear, I'm sorry. And no matter what she does, there's no consequences for bad behavior. And I flatly disagree with that. Anyway, how long have we been going? How long have we been actually going? Not how long have... I think we've been going for about an hour and 15 minutes, but we've only been going for 43 minutes, I think. So let's go through some of your comments. They were interesting. Where I asked this question about, let's see, when you don't speak up in a relationship. I said, it's interesting to me how otherwise sensible people willingly suffer a bad relationship in silence and then complain afterwards about feeling alone and not being understood by their partner in that relationship. And it's contradictory. if you communicate and you make sure they see you in no uncertain terms, and again, that means talking, then you can justifiably later on say, well, she refused to hear me. She was stubborn. Yeah, okay, I'm on your same page. But if you didn't say it, if you expect her to read your mind just in the same way that you complain women frustratingly expect you to read their mind, then you're playing a woman's game. And I'm pretty sure women, if they're honest, they don't like the whole mind reading, but they're just too embarrassed to say sorry and it's stupid. All right, let's read some of the comments. Let's get the browser. All right. This was a really good comment, I thought. Harris, the second coming. Why can't I? Here we go. He says, as you say, human, despite the consequences of saying what you need to say, when it's all said and done, you get to be the person you want to be. The relationship with yourself is the most important one because it affects how you relate to the world and to others, which are part of the world. I pinned that comment because that's a very succinct answer as to why you should always say exactly who you are and learn to articulate it. I said, well put, in the end, if they don't want to be in a relationship with the real you, hopefully fair and polite, then at least you know 100% that she never liked or loved you or saw you exactly how you articulated yourself clearly to be. I found one can move on much easily afterwards, after a breakup, if you are being real and speaking your own words, and you're never haunted by those past relationships as much where you're honest. It's the ambiguous relationships and the distant ones where avoidant games were being played that haunted me the most afterwards. I think that Harris, the second comings comment that I pinned it at the top, that says pretty much answers the entirety of what I want to talk about. David P says, I was in a bad relationship for 22 years. Yep, see, I remember you were in a long one. He said, she had a very dominant personality and I found it difficult to speak up because I didn't feel heard. Rather than walk away, again, see, you felt it difficult to speak up because you didn't feel like you were being heard. But if you're never going to speak up, you're never going to be heard. So it's kind of like you need to be a bull pushing through to sunlight to make it what it should be. Otherwise, one of you will submit and the other one will dominate. And that's not a good relationship. Even via the person that dominates, they think they like it, but they don't. Because it's like a master-pet relationship. But then when you need your pet to have your back and speak up for you and be there for you, it can only be a pet. And you still have to do all the work. So you are maintaining most of the relationship by being the dominant one as well. Being a leader is different though. David P continues. Rather than walk away, I stayed silent until she broke up with me in a very unceremonious way. In hindsight, I should have never gotten involved with her. Yeah. See, the regret of 22 years of saying yes to you, and I'm not belittling you, David, I've been there, not as long, but for many years as well, with various women, until I just learned that there's nothing wrong with, you don't apologize for politely and confidently articulating who you are and what you want. And if they screw up their face like you made them just eat a lemon, then I'm a lemon, sorry. But this is me. And either you like this and this is the real me. I'm putting 20/20 vision on you right now, sweetheart. This is me, and I'm trying to say it as clearly and as politely as I can. And if you don't like these glasses, this is actually me. Then you need to find someone else where you can see them clearly in a way that you like, that doesn't make you wince. User NG7, whatever that is, said every time I spoke up, I ended up single again. It appears they are predators and parasites at the same time. Disagree. I would have agreed with you a decade or two ago when you just kind of, you're not curious enough to try, you're not curious enough to work on your own problems and self-development. like, you're not curious enough to take yourself out of the equation of problems. We're not perfect. You are not the perfect child your mother kissed on the head, guys. This is what I learned from childhood. Again, please, I'm not saying I have the definitive answer, but please watch this video. It answers a lot of the stuff where you think, well, I'm neutral. I'm just being nice, and why don't people see the real me? A nice little boy who grew up just shutting their mouth is an invisible, nice little boy that the parents are not embarrassed about. But there's nothing there. They are a well-behaved, politely dressed person that stands up like this, stands to attention. They are a soldier that says nothing. They're a mechanical object to be respected or loved at best. They're a polite and well-behaved person, but they're not a person to be loved as an individual, because the individual doesn't come out. It's a mechanically well-presented robot, you know? And this kind of comment is something I would have said. And I'm not kind of making fun or faulting you for this. Every time I spoke up, every time I tried to fumble through being myself, it ended up badly. I felt like I was the problem. I didn't know what to do. I felt like I broke the dishes and now it's all my problem. And you just say, well, I can never do anything right. Women don't like me. I don't know how to do this game. Women are both predators and parasites. They want this, but they want that. Yes, women want contradictory things, but when you know what's right and you take yourself off the table of problems, and you come to the table where you recognize a woman who doesn't know who she is, just like you didn't know who you were, but in a female context, you know female nature, but then you realize, yeah, she says she wants a strong man, but she wants him vulnerable. She wants a man who's always going to be there around her, but she wants a man who earns a lot of money, is never home. She wants a man who's strong but soft. She wants a man who's up but down. She wants a man who communicates, but but he's able to read her mind and doesn't ask her intrusive questions where she has to, like, you know, when you know yourself in that way, where you know how to articulate yourself and be direct, then you know when someone's playing games just the way you used to do before, when you weren't honest about yourself. That's the beauty. You recognize game playing in someone else, naive game playing just the way you were before. So this comment, I wouldn't say it is entirely accurate, but I've been here. Women can be predators and parasites at the same time. They can be a soft little thing you want to take care of, and then you say the wrong word and they turn into, you know, a vulture that tears your eyes out. But learning the nuance and what to let go of are two different things as well. Okay, more comments. Malenko says, always speak up. 2 outcomes: things will improve, or you will know where you truly stand. Yes. You will always be prouder of who you are and move on quicker where you have no regret or shame because you said what you should have said and you didn't keep your mouth shut. Northern Bell, Peg. In a romantic relationship, if you don't speak up of your concerns, thoughts, and ideas responsibly and respectfully, it could lead to misunderstandings, misinterpretations, ambiguity, and an unfavorable buildup of unpleasantries and resentment too. No one wants that. Communicate, ask questions. If you don't fully understand, yeah, your partner should actually enjoy you asking questions. They should be curious and want to answer them, not roll their eyes. Peg continues, words and thoughts should be in congruence with actions, understood, appreciated, and relayed to one another. There are things in life that one may have to take a best guess at. Your partner should not be one of them. Yes, you should not be guessing at your partner and reading tea leaves and mind and all that. She continues, on a positive note, it is also important to speak up of the appreciation of love you have for your partner to them and why. Yes, it's not just about the problems and difficult conversations, but it's also speaking up about the good stuff and not feeling like, well, I won't say good, positive, nice, romantic things where I really appreciate her doing something because I want to keep her in check and keep her in my frame and not make her feel like she's got the upper hand. I don't want to feel like too much of a soy boy or anything like that. It's like, no, if she deserves love or appreciation or a kind word, you give it to her. Or if you know she appreciates that, and then she will be a happier person and reciprocate and stuff. It's not playing games, but it's just giving being honest about the positives and the negatives, speaking up on both counts, like Peg says. She continues, it helps fortify the bond. Yes, the good and the bad, every angle. Your relationship is 3 dimensions, not just a fake mask of 2 dimensions at the front that you keep, crossing your fingers that it'll continue as. She continues, it's also important to speak up of the appreciation and love you have for your partner and why. It helps fortify the bond. If tomorrow should come without one of you, if it ends, one of you passes away, you'll have wished you had said it or heard it more often. Don't take the time, opportunities, or them for granted. Yes. David P., his other comment was, when you don't speak up, the consequences can be worse than when you do speak up. Yes. And as I mentioned earlier, some people are in bad situations where the consequences of actually speaking up and being honest may be actually worse. So it might be better for them to shut their mouth, have their peace where they can find it, because their life will be terrible if they do start being honest now when it's too late. Speaking up, Razor CP says, was the biggest reason why my relationship failed. But at the same time, Razor, don't you at least look at the positive side? If you speak up, at least you know it was real and you know why you broke up, rather than living a lie and playing happy families or happy girlfriend, boyfriend. Luke says that thumbnail is quite horrific, but certainly not incorrect. Yeah, I got rid of this thumbnail. This was part of the thumbnail of the stream, but I changed it for something a bit more clickbaity, more in line with what we're doing here in this chat. BGF Fitness New York. I've had a couple of comments from him, but I wanted to relay this one. He says, what is it with this man and relationships, as in me? I talk about relationships. He says, anything besides single or married is a joke. This is one of these, I don't know, dude bros. And I said, so if there's only single or married and everything else is a joke, how the heck do you get from single to married if you only have one or two of the extremes? This is the myopic blindness of a lot of the manosphere dude bro pickup PUA advice. It's only single and pumping and dumping, or somehow magically you leapfrog, jump the shark, and you've magically found someone. Or I don't know. If there's nothing in between, is there only arranged marriages? So you're single and fooling around, or someone arranges a marriage for you and you take it all, it's perfect or something. I don't get it. These are the kind of in-between grey conversations of real life that fall down in a lot of the perfect dude bro dating advice coaches. Christina says, my ex-partner, who was my child's father, never listened to me and never took me seriously. He would be arguing nonstop and aggressive, also yelling, screaming, shouting day in and day out. He would always be defensive and storm off regularly. Whoa. And he also smashed property and caused some damage. One day I had enough and ended it. He's no longer living with us. He blames me for that after we split. I went and saw a good psychologist and had therapy for quite some time. Good for you for seeking help. I just wanted to better myself and be an even better mother to my child. I also joined a group program for those who exited domestic violence, which was a great help. Sometimes we must take matters into our own hands. I never wanted to be a single mother, and of course I wanted the relationship to resolve our problems and for us to work out. He never refused to see our relationship therapist with me. He even refused to see a relationship therapist with me. All my efforts were in vain. He pushed me away and he freaked me out. What other choice did he give me? It turns out my communication is not the problem, unlike what my ex-partner always told me. Yeah, it sounded like he gaslit you. At least I tried to talk and resolve issues. I still get sad about the whole experience, and I hope I never experience this ever again, and that my future partner will be a much more healthy and loving person to us. Good for you. I will guess, by the way you wrote, that you got pregnant with him very, very quickly or very early on in the relationship, because by the way you write, if you would have spent more time with him, you would have seen a lot of this temper and short fuse and all of this stuff that came out. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, that you should have spent more time. I'm not blaming what he did and how he acted, but it would have helped you. While I know you probably love your daughter or son, I don't know I can't remember what child you had. You love them. You probably would have preferred them with a different father. But yeah, good for you. All right. Any other comments? Let's see. All right. While you people, if you are in the chat here, if you want to ask me a question, put 3 smiley faces before a question or comment like this example below me if you would like me to read it during the stream, or super chat me and I will see it for sure. Okay. Michael Frost says, trying to help others so much traps you. I found myself in that situation way too many times. People choose to fail their own way rather than listen to others. Yeah, that's sometimes needed. Some people just need to fail in their own ways enough, or in one big way. Because a lot of people fail and they still keep moving through those failures. Like they keep smashing through hard walls, but it's only when a wall stops them and they get knocked back and they recover that they really had to kind of get up. So until a person really gets knocked down and has to get up, that's the only time some people learn a lesson. He continues, sometimes silence is the answer. Yeah. I talk to some guys online where they're so sure of themselves, like this New York guy, the Fitness New York, where he puts LOLs and smiley faces and he thinks he knows everything and he doesn't want to have a respectful conversation, doesn't want to ask questions, but wants to tell you what things are and laugh at you. Where when people are so sure of themselves and they're fighting you and you can't talk to them other than talking only from their point of view, they don't want to entertain anything you have to say, even if it's rational, then you just end up saying, like I say to some of these guys, well, look, obviously you're sure about this. You're right. Keep going. Keep doing it. Keep going out with these women. And they pause and they expect me to keep debating them and fighting. I said, like, no, I'm not going to, you're very sure of yourself. Works for you, I guess. So keep doing what you're doing. Seems like for you it's working and you've got a perfect strategy. So keep doing it. And you can tell they're silent because they want me to fight back. It's like, I'm not going to fight you. Keep doing it. In the back of my mind, I'm saying, when you're ready to talk, when you're ready to be reasonable, maybe you just need to hit a wall. I don't know. But I can't talk to someone just like if I was one religion trying to convert another one. Agree to disagree. Keep doing what you're doing. If it works for you, which I don't think it does for a lot of these angry dudes and angry women, whether that's the angry dude bros or the angry girl power chicks, keep doing it. Maybe you'll never change. Maybe you're always going to be talking from this egotistical, tough position where you don't need a man or I don't need a woman. Fine. Okay. Have fun. Do you have friends? Can I talk to you? That doesn't seem like a good life. Anyway. Christina, this live is exactly what I needed. Thank you. I used to blame myself. I will not put masks on. I think it's a comment I just read of yours. I never felt heard or supported. Yeah, which is why you should speak all the time and be curious and try not to get offended at the drop of a hat by what someone hasn't said or hasn't done, or if they're questioning something you believe. If I sort of say, well, I think women this and that, and the woman gets offended because she thinks I'm talking about her, it's like, no, I'm talking about women. I'm not talking about you. If someone is overly sensitive, you can't do anything about their oversensitivity. If I have to walk on eggshells just to have a conversation, then I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to talk freely around you. You know someone's compatible with you where you can just have no filter and you can talk any which way, like the way I talk with Stephanie. Yeah, Christina says, we had a few miscarriages before my daughter came along. Honestly, we had a mask on the whole time. There was no way of me knowing. I do wish my daughter was created with another man. Yeah, I wish you didn't keep trying to have kids with him. But you got a child, I suppose, that you love. And it's all well and good to say, I wish I had it with another person. But yeah, talk, spend time, be 100%. Know why you love the person. You love the person because you can be completely yourself and you can say everything. And you can even, while you're working yourself out, fumble through it with your words like you would be on your own journal. I can fumble through words with Stephanie and she'll sit there and nod her head and we'll discuss and I'll get to what I'm eventually trying to say because she's on my page and she's on my side. But if you're butting heads like Christina and her ex did and you're playing a mask and it's kind of like, you know, a tiger and a lion trying to get along, using the kind of oppositional analogy I'm trying to get at, then you're just trying to survive a relationship. You're not actually having one. Conversation, honest conversation where you're not scared to just say, I have every right to calmly and politely say exactly what I feel. And to me, if Chicky Poo's like, well, I'm offended. It's like, objectively, nothing I said was rude. You don't like that I'm not saying what you... Paul Proteus said it best. Women get annoyed. They think that they want men to be honest. Most women just want to hear their own words in a deeper voice. That's all they want. So women need to hear a man. In the same way women... And men need to hear women as well, exactly for who they are, not pretend that like, oh, she'll change or that's just the way women are. I won't pay attention to who she is. Each of us needs to pay attention exactly to the other person. And the only way you can be sure, and the only way I've been able to be 100% or as close as I can be, is through conversation, letting all of this out through my mouth. That's what got me to know and trust Stephanie in 3 dimensions, where you ask me any question about her or us, I can answer it. Well, how do you know this? Because of this, because of the time we spend. The easiest answer I can give you when people say, well, how do you know Stephanie wouldn't do this or betray you? Is I can't convince you, but talk with Stephanie, have an honest conversation with her for 10 minutes and you'll know why I'm with her and why she's different to a lot of girls who don't communicate, I'm different to a lot of guys out there who just don't communicate. I'm not special. I just want to talk and I'm not afraid to talk. And I'm not afraid to let you know what I think. And I practice trying to articulate myself and I like language too, so that helps. But I hope this gives you something to think about. Anyway, if there's no other comments, I'll go back to an earlier post that sparked this video. At the beginning of the week, I posted a question, or rather a comment, and it was this: if you choose not to speak up in a relationship, then you forfeit any control within it. And David P., in his comment, he can attest to this, where you feel invisible, not heard, and you can't breathe. You feel alone. David P., I'm pretty sure, felt very lonely for nearly 22 years. Let's read some of the comments and let's wrap up this stream after this. How long have we been going for here? Nearly just over an hour. All right. Okay, let's read some of the comments here. Luke says, when you choose not to speak up, you forfeit all control. Luke says, and you resign yourself to the consequences that that come with that choice. You made the bed, now you lie in it. That's the shame. And you can do nothing with the shame, actually, the longer you're lying in that bed. It's almost like you bought the bed, and that's the only bed you'll have for the rest of your life. And you picked a shit bed. It's the only one you'll have. Quaz left a comment. He says, always recommending the effective and life-changing techniques of Marshall Rosenberg and nonviolent communication. Yep, I haven't actually read much of Marshall Rosenberg other than the quotes and little bits that Quaz has given to me, but he's mentioned that guy quite a bit. Body Knowledge says, fear is understandable and sucky. People experience this other F word in relationships because They don't want to add the strife potential. What's the other F word? Forfeit. Is that the word you mean? He says, people get stuck and often will accept manageable and certainly unmanageable as well bullshit. Typically, I believe people will most commonly suffer in bad relationships because they don't feel like they're worth better. Again, maybe childhood. Shut up. This is the only love you're getting. This is the only person that'll love you when you shut up and do what you're told. What gets you with a pat on the head is obeying. And he says, time is the most valuable commodity and people need to be reminded of this and not piss it away in shitty relationships. I agree. David P. says, during an election, if you don't vote, you have no right to complain if things don't go your way. Same concept applies here. I agree. What are the comments here? Agreed. Yeah, politics. So if you do vote and things still go south, can we blame you? Yeah, let's be reasonable, Rocket. I know you're making a joke, but if it's your one vote, like it's different when you vote in politics, right? Your vote is one of millions, but in a relationship, it's one vote versus your vote is half the outcome. That is a huge benefit. So your vote and her vote need to match. If your vote and her vote are at opposition, it's stalemate. She needs to find someone that votes in accordance with her. So it's the same vote. Two Dogs says, yeah, but when you're gaslit every time you speak up in a relationship, how long do you keep doing it before you just say, fuck it, by pushing all that shit down to try to keep the peace? Yeah, the longer you're in there, the more you accept it and hope not to stroke out at 50. Both my ex-wife and narcissistic father were great at gaslighting me when I tried to talk about what was bothering me, especially when they thought they were the culprit. I think this question is too deep to be answered with flippant, cliched responses. Sure, I responded with, if you found yourself in a difficult corner and you can't get out of, then of course it's not easy. And sometimes tolerating a bad relationship is preferable to the consequences of ending it. I can see that too, but it's up to each of us to assess and act or not to act. So again, I think a lot of the shame comes with like, I should have said something or I should have said something earlier before it got to be too late. Because as Bukowski said, there is nothing worse than too late. That's the kind of sadness you can't get rid of. Melanico says, set healthy boundaries from the start and be directors in both parties. If not reciprocated, move on. Personally, I don't have time for BS and facade. A healthy relationship is where you both know each other and not pretend to know each other. That's a good line. A healthy relationship is where you both know each other and not pretend to know each other. I'm going to pin that. Sorry, I think it overtook someone else's pin. Epoch says, as soon as you get into a relationship, I immediately want out. As soon as I get into a relationship, I immediately want out. It's like a panic attack and a huge relief once I'm out. I wonder where that comes from. Is that all the experiences you had being in intimate relationships? I don't want to belabor the point of childhood, but if you always get that, I always had the feeling of like, this isn't right. Why did this not work again? It should have. It had potential. I know what a good one looks like. I experienced a good childhood in that sense. Yeah, I know what I'm running towards now. I know how my childhood affected my shyness and being too nice. But in terms of feeling like every time I'm with someone, I feel like I want to get out. I never had that feeling. Dave says, I had 3 long-term relationships, hoping I don't have a 4th. Someone also said, I've done that too. I'm guessing you entered in too soon or with the wrong person, speaking from experience. No, Epoch, I agree. I know what Epoch's saying. He's saying, no, it's a fight or flight response. Relationships aren't for everyone. He's having a response about relationships in themselves. As soon as he gets close to one or tries, he just wants out. He sounds like he's having the equivalent. if you're a hetero guy trying to date gay guys, like you find a resistance to it and you just can't do it. You want out straight away. Okay. All right. Prince Revolver says, the unfortunate part about not speaking up is two people who could potentially be good together. Yes. I wrote down how many guys are big enough to admit that they may have screwed up a good relationship in the past because they were too afraid to speak up or say what they felt or show who they really were to Chicky Poo because they were desperate or afraid. You know, either you're desperate and you're trying to impress and you're not really being yourself, or you're too afraid, you close up and you can't really talk like the way you do around your friends. And then you regret it and you look back and you say, of all the girls, that girl 10 or 15 years ago, she was really nice. I wonder what she's doing. You look her up on Facebook, or she was the only really nice one. She tried and I was the douchebag, or I was mute. Basiel Mucho says, unfortunately, I did that for years and expected things to magically work out. If I ever enter into another relationship, I won't let stuff slide and will communicate effectively and often. Yes, because you will feel better about yourself. It's about you, not so much the other person. Always aim for feeling proud of yourself afterwards and not regretting, because you can't go back. Flying Trickster says, I mean, yeah, it is a partnership. Okay. BG Fitness again, LOL at relationship. Fine, keep at it, BG Fitness. Keep LOLing and smiling faces away through your perfect utopian world. I don't want to ask what your life looks like, because I can just guess. You're arrogantly like plowing through girls, or being frustrated with girls, or not, whatever it is. Okay. You'd be fun to have a conversation with. All the passive-aggressive shaming. Zenog says, my father here, all I can do is listen to your complaints. Is that what your father said? All I can do is listen to your complaints, or are you talking to me? I'm not sure. See, it's really hard for me to interpret text. Also, grammar, guys, grammar. Please read your comments before posting. I know sometimes if you're doing it from your phone, but grammar. Karu left a message. He says, you should always speak up no matter the problem, how small or big. What did the illuminated minds used to say? You have nothing to lose but your chains. Yep. Why isn't this focusing? Come on. Have I been going in and out of focus? All right. Any last comments? Let's wrap up this stream. We've been going for long enough. Even though I started late and was talking to myself for half an hour, I hope you enjoyed the stream once it did start. And thank you for all of you who did stick around for the stream. For those of you with a microphone, jump on Discord after this chat. A bunch of us get on there and have a conversation. It's been growing, and let everyone speak. Don't one person take over the conversation. Ask questions. And yeah, like if you enjoy these conversations, jump on Discord. I'm trying to keep it tight, and I'm wiping the chats every week. So there's nothing on there. There's no posts. People don't act like idiots. We've got moderators on there. So it's a fresh, cleaned Discord channel every week that hopefully there's no reason for it to get nuked like last time. So have a good weekend. Leave your comments down below. Like, subscribe, do all the fun stuff. Join the channel, and let me, let me know your answers to the questions I'm posting in the community tab, because I'm always posting questions that I want to talk about during these streams in the community tab, which are, if I can bring it up, if it'll show it, where is it? Here. See this on my channel? Here. So I'll post a lot of questions and discussions and things. Join my Discord. Polls like this one. Are relationships hard work to you? What do you think? Most people say they are. Smaller percentage, kind of. Yeah, you can oscillate between the two. Yeah, I don't think there's many people that say they aren't some sort of effort. Hard work, I don't agree with hard work, like they're a bad job, but they do require effort. But anyway, check the community tab. I post things there often. So, I like the way that picture came up in the last video. All right, guys. I encourage you to watch the latest video I put up in this upcoming series of Why Love is Hard for You. Take a look at the recent chats I've had with Stephanie on our channel, the last live streams on this channel you're watching this live stream on, and the chat on my chats channel that I had with Quaz. That was the last one, where we talk about the difference between power, trying to love someone through power and domination, or trying to love them and to like be a friend with them and, you know, be intimate with them. And really, you need to lean one way or another. You can't sort of do both at the same time. They're opposing forces. And yeah, that was an interesting conversation. It was a really nice one. So anyway, have a good weekend, everyone. Enjoy your Saturday night if you're in the US, and your Sunday if you're anywhere else in the world. And I'll catch you on the next video or stream. Have a good week. I'll see the rest of you on Discord after this. Goodbye.